I see that it's just forming. Hey, good afternoon. We are tracking storms across the U.S. right now. 3 areas in specific that we need to talk about, but these areas that have storms right now is expanding. We are seeing more storms form every single minute, so we are going to give you a live update. Put your weather questions in the comments section. I can see them on the side of the screen over here, and we will get to those questions here in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, waiting for them to come in, let me give you an update about the watches that we have in place right now. We have a tornado watch until 8 o'clock out in the Midwest, so we're talking, and Northern Plains. So we're talking about Wisconsin into Minnesota and even portions of northern Illinois. Now, if you're in Chicago, you will most likely be added to this watch later on, but storms haven't formed quite yet, so we're still waiting to see when those storms will form. But here we go. 8 o'clock for your tornado watch here. We still have several warnings going on right now to the north of Black River Falls and then just to the south here. Austin on here asking, what about the likelihood for large hail in Crystal Lake, Illinois? Great question, and we will get back to that question here in just a few minutes. We have another tornado watch ongoing right now, and let me get some information on this one. Here we go. I'm going to go off to the side of the screen real quick, and I have my computer right in front of me so I can remote and show you exactly, give you more information and kind of move this around exactly where you need to see it. So you're asking about portions of Illinois. We'll zoom right down into that area in just a minute. So here we go. Whew, can you guys hear them out there? Can you guys hear those noises? We had a fun 15-year celebration today, and we are popping balloons right now because of that celebration. So we are having a lot of fun with that. But let's get more information on this severe thunderstorm watch right now. We have 7 o'clock until the severe thunderstorm watch is expired, so we still have a while left on this. We still have 2 more hours, and the severe thunderstorm warning in Jonesboro right now goes also until, let's get some info on that. There we go, 5:30. This evening. So we've got another 35 minutes on this. Just 1-inch size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So we've got some bigger things to talk about. Let's go to our next area with storms. I think that we're going out to the east now. Potentially. We do have a watch out to the east. Let's see. There we go. Okay, the Carolinas. And North Carolina and Virginia, we have this watch highlighted here in pink, another severe thunderstorm watch that goes until midnight tonight. So we've got a long time left with these storms, right? 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, midnight. We have a lot more to go today. We are just at the very beginning of our storms right now. And we've seen already some really impressive hail reports already. We saw that 2.5-inch size hail out in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So let's actually zoom right down into that. It's, okay, let me show you this. Before we even see the cities pop up in this area, where do you think Eau Claire, Wisconsin is? Right where we have all of those local storm reports, right? We have a ton of local storm reports coming out of this city. And so let's take a look at the most impressive ones that we've seen already. Holy moly, we have a lot in here. And we've seen some pictures that we'll be reposting on our social media page as well from people who have seen this large hail, and they're posting these pictures. We've seen up to tennis ball size hail in the city. So here we go. Ping pong ball size hail measured at Woo Studios. I'm not quite sure exactly how to say that one. Golf ball size hail reported in Eau Claire as well. So this is maybe on the south side of the city. We've got a 2-incher. Okay, we're seeing those numbers go up now. 2-incher as well. Let's keep going here. Can we get 2.5? Oh, not yet. Okay, that's a quarter size. Ping pong ball size hail report. There we go. There it is. 2.5-inch size hail report right in the center of the city. You can see that the city technically is Altoona. Tennis ball size hail report there. So let's move on. I know that we had another question. So let's move on to some of our other cities. And let me double check what city was asked about earlier. I think it was in Illinois. Crystal Lake. So let's get down into that area. Alrighty.
Eastern Crawford.
So, yes, Crystal Lake, Illinois. Austin Fleener is asking that out of Facebook, on Facebook, I guess. And I know that we had said that we were watching, there we go. These storms in northern Illinois, where we do have a tornado watch right now. Where is my radar? You guys, this is what happens whenever I produce for myself. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get things going. Okay, so we said northeast of Rockford. That's the only storm that we have in Illinois right now, right? Yes, we have our Wisconsin affiliate over here, Ben, phenomenal meteorologist. He is helping me out with finding some of these cities. So the question about northern Illinois here, about this severe thunderstorm warning. Now, we aren't seeing a ton from this storm right now. However, I do think that we have the potential to see more out of this storm within the next half hour, okay? So right now, this storm is, I think this is moving to the east, but I'll double check on that. For Belvedere, Cherry Valley, Harlem, and Rockford, it is only warned for quarter-size hail, but let's get more information about this. The National Weather Service has this moving at the northeast about 50 miles an hour. About 298,000 people in this severe thunderstorm warning right now. Holy moly, covering a very large, I mean, not that large of an area, but a lot of people impacted in this severe thunderstorm warning. Let's zoom out and let's put a track on this. I said 50 miles an hour, going to the northeast. So let's get some cities in here now. At 4:59, so currently, this storm will be moving into Poplar Grove. You can see that right here. Maybe you're getting the first few sprinkles right now, but here pretty soon, you're going to get that heavier rain and then eventually that hail. And this storm has a pretty good structure right now. As we move to the northeast here, I'm going to say this incorrectly, Chemung, is that how you say it? 5:09 is the timing for this storm, or for the storm to move into your area. Walworth at 5:20. So this is moving pretty quickly. Think about how fast you move on the highway, right around 50, 60, maybe 70 miles an hour. That's how fast this storm is moving. It's moving at 50 miles an hour, so slow highway speed. We can zoom in and get some more information on this storm as well. Let's take a look at, let's make sure that we're using the right radar. Oh yeah, perfect. We're using a radar not too far away. And let's see if our velocity scope is working here. No, it does not look like it wants to work today. These things are funny because sometimes they work and sometimes they do not. That's okay. There you go. We've got some pretty strong wind with this. Not getting too much information out of this. I'm going to check radar scope and see if we can get some more information from the storm. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning coming out of Davenport right now, so we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. Let's go down to Davenport. There we go. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 6 o'clock, so we've got another hour on this here. 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. This storm is moving to the northeast at 40 miles an hour, so not as fast as that storm farther up to the north. I know a lot of people have their eye on Wisconsin, though, because you can see that we've got so many storms up in Wisconsin. Let's talk about these tornado warnings in this area. So we've got one tornado warning coming out of Greenwood, and that is in Loyal for 1-inch size hail, about 1,000 people inside this tornado warning, so not too many people impacted here. Let's go down to the south here. We've got some rotation on this storm out of Fort Winnebago. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Winnebago is the confirmation here. Golf ball size hail and about 22,000 people impacted by this tornado warning right here. Let's see what we have from the National Weather Service. Not only from this local storm report out of Portage, quarter-size hail here, but I bet we could see some larger hailstones from this storm. Even the National Weather Service is warning it for up to golf ball size hail. The National Weather Service also giving us some information here. They're saying the biggest hazard is a potential damaging tornado and golf ball size hail. It is not potential. This was a confirmed tornado over Portage, moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. So confirmed tornado in this area, in addition to large hail. This is something that we were talking about all morning long. During our noon forecast, we talked about this as well, that the biggest hazards today are going to be large hail and that tornado risk. So we've already seen that happen today, where we saw that 2.5 size hailstones in Eau Claire. We're seeing a confirmed tornado in Portage. And that all coming from this line of storms that splits Wisconsin essentially in half here. Look at this line of storms. It just doesn't seem to stop, starting on the northeast side of the state and then moving all the way down into the central portion, the central southern side of the state as well. Now slowly, this storm system, this line of storms will be moving to the east. So places like Green Bay, who haven't gotten hit yet, will get these storms eventually. What's also happening here is that we're seeing this unzip. We like to kind of imagine like a zipper unzipping down to the south. So we're seeing more storms form down in Illinois right now, and eventually those will make their way to Chicago as well. Now I do have to tell you, my timeline today for Chicago was 4 to 8 o'clock. However, after seeing the models at noon, I was kind of leaning on the later side of that timeline. Now, after seeing these storms that are still out in the western side of Illinois, I wonder if it'll be even later at night. Think about this here. You guys know that math equation you would do in school if you travel this fast for this long, how many miles do you go? What we're looking at here, these storms right now, about 90 miles from Chicago. And if they move to the northeast at about what? 50, 60 miles an hour, it'll take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to Chicago. That puts us at 6:30 this evening. So the earliest time frame that we have for Chicago would be about 6:30 this evening. Yeah, these storms are about 100 miles from the city. Alrighty, let's clear this off. What other questions do we have on this Thursday evening severe weather coverage? John is asking, what about Michigan? You know, I can show you some of the models that we have for storms later tonight that will go into Michigan. What we were watching for in Michigan earlier today was that tornado and high wind potential. So I do think that this could turn to a wind threat later on tonight. And some of the models wanted to bring you guys some high winds in like the southern side of the city and like the southern side of the state. Ralph is saying, let's get some storms in Pennsylvania and Maryland. Bring the tennis balls there. Jay's asking about Central Arkansas. You guys want to check out Central Arkansas, and then we'll go into Michigan. So all of the storms out in Arkansas right now are on the northeast side. We have one storm that was going through Jonesboro, tracking to the east, about, I think I said about 50 miles an hour earlier. Nothing in Central Arkansas right now, nothing in Little Rock. However, you guys are in the risk the next few days. I think that you're in the risk for tomorrow as well. Let's check our models. So we're going to switch gears here into forecast mode, and we're going to take a look at the models for the rest of the evening. Our systems are loading. You'll see this change. There we go. So there's your storm risk for today. This is your Storm Prediction Center risk today. Your level 3 highlighted there in red for hail. Large hail anywhere you see a hatched line. Do you guys see those black dashes there? That is the areas that we indicated that we could see some large hail today. Let's see if we can move this around and get into central Arkansas, and then we will go into Michigan. Give us just a minute here. You guys get to see some behind the scenes of how our graphics work and the things that we do to create graphics every single day. We don't use something that's automated. We create these graphics every single day. So we have to go in here and we set exactly the areas that we want you to see. We will also set the times that we want these graphics to be paused at. We can control so much on these graphics. So let's get into it. I told our system to go down into Arkansas, so let it load. There we go. Here's Little Rock, Central Arkansas here. You could see some showers and storms as we go throughout the next few hours. It looks like this model has definitely overestimated how much rain you are expecting in Central Arkansas, right? It is 5:09, and it wants storms to be right in Little Rock right now. That's obviously not happening. I just showed you the radar, and there were not storms in this area from what I could tell. Let's double check. No, it's clear. It's dry in Little Rock right now. So you can, and this is whenever the models don't get it right? So these storms, if they did form, we're going to track out to the north and east. And then you could have another round later on tonight. So maybe this is whenever you'll see your storms. So this model also wants to bring in storms late tonight. We're talking about 10, 11 o'clock here, anywhere from Little Rock all the way out to Memphis. So maybe if you don't get those storms now, then you'll see them later on tonight. And I'm going to check some other things here. Yeah, it looks like you guys are just missing out on those storms right now in Central Arkansas. But let's move on. Let's go up to Michigan, because earlier we told you about those storms in Michigan that are likely to create some high wind. So here we go. 8:30 tonight, storms past Chicago, right? I told you that our updated timeline is between about 6:30-ish to maybe 9. Okay, so by 8:39, the storms are on the east side of Chicago, moving into Michigan. And what we were seeing earlier was this bowing shape from this line of storms. And what that means, anytime that you see that backwards C, that kind of backwards crescent shape, is that we could see some really strong winds. And that's anywhere from Rochester all the way up to Kalamazoo into Grand Rapids, Michigan. This will continue to track to the east, but it's dark at this time, right? It is after the sun has gone down. We're talking after 9 o'clock this evening. Those storms will continue to track to the east. And there you go. This is a great example of that bowing look right there. Do you see that? Kind of like that backwards C-shaped. And so that's what we were seeing earlier on models, which is why we said that there could be some stronger winds in this area. So we could get some strong winds moving into Detroit, Sandusky, Toledo. This will be northern Indiana and southern Michigan. And this is a great look of strong winds on the radar. So that's what we're expecting late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. And that question was for John, who asked, how are we looking for Michigan? Colton is asking, has there been any hail towards Rockford? We were taking a look at Rockford earlier. Here, I can go back to Rockford. Let's see. We did get quarter-size hail report just to the northeast of Rockford in Poplar Grove. So let's take a look at that. All right, switching gears here. Give this just a minute to load. There we go. There's your hail report. Let's check this out. And I told you earlier that was quarter-size hail report near Caledonia, and that was relayed by the broadcast media right around 5:06. So that didn't happen too long ago at all, about 5-10 minutes ago. So we can assume that this storm is producing hail. What we call this is pocket change hail, where it is that dime, nickel, quarter-size hail. Right now, the severe thunderstorm warning is warned for 3/4-inch hail, so smaller than the size of a quarter. We're talking maybe dime, nickel, penny, right? Size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds, and 17,000 people impacted by this warning. So to answer that question, is there any hail near Rockford? Near Rockford, just outside of Rockford, about 10 miles outside of the city in Poplar Grove, quarter-size hail. And we told you earlier that this hail, while the storm doesn't look terribly impressive right now, it does have the potential to look a lot more impressive later on. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. What other questions do we have this evening? We now have a new severe thunderstorm warning out in the western side of Illinois. We're talking about in the Galva area. That G was covered up. These are pretty isolated right now, which is exactly what the National Weather Service had expected. They said they expected these storms, these supercells, to be isolated at first. So this severe thunderstorm warning is warned for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, impacting about 26,000 people, anywhere between the Concord to Galva, Kewanee, and Wethersfield areas. Moving to the northeast, earlier we had about a 50-mile-per-hour movement on this storm. This one at 45 miles an hour. So pretty decent speed, not too fast, not too slow. And let's kind of zoom out to get you guys an overview of the storms that we've seen so far. All right, take a look at this storm up in the northern side of Wisconsin. This part of the line of storms that we have going on right now isn't warned for hail. Oftentimes what happens here is whenever all of these storms get all clustered together, they get really, really messy, and it's hard for hail to form. It's hard for these storms to organize and for hail to form. So they start to get really, really messy. They've congealed into a line, and we switch from that hail threat to a wind threat. And that's exactly what we've seen in the northern side of Wisconsin. We now have a high wind threat. 70-mile-per-hour winds are expected from this storm that is moving, or this cluster of storms that is moving to the northeast right now at 70 miles an hour. Now, this is what we consider a fast mover. It's not only moving fast, but it's also producing some really high winds in its wake. And a lot of people will say, oh, that 70 mile per hour, that's nothing. However, that is considered a significant severe thunderstorm, and something that we actually saw out of Pennsylvania a few weeks ago was that we saw some high winds like this. They had recently gotten rain, and it knocked over a ton of trees in the area right around rush hour, and it knocked out power for millions of people over the next few days. So this high wind really is no joke given the right circumstances. What other questions do we have this evening? Anything in Minnesota? Roberto is asking off of Facebook, what are we seeing in Minnesota? So Minnesota got hit a few hours ago. Do we still have storms up there? We do. But they are not warned right now. So non-severe storms from Grand Forks to the Wisconsin state line, except for hugging the state line here, is a tornado warning. Let's see, tornado warning in the Blackhoof and Holyoke area. This goes until 5:30, so we've got another 13 minutes on this. These types of tornadoes, if there is a tornado in the sea, it's going to be extremely difficult to see. These are the most difficult tornadoes to see. There's no way that you can see that if we do have one in there, if one spins up. something that we saw earlier, if we back up about an hour here, does this go all the way back to Minneapolis? It doesn't. So I was going to show you about an hour ago, longer than an hour ago, we saw storms in Minneapolis. Let me see if I can get some information on these storms that went through Minneapolis for Roberto, who asked about Minnesota. So let's check out our storm reports. I actually don't see a ton of storm reports coming out of Minneapolis. Ben, do you know our max hail size for Minneapolis? We had one tornado warning at least.
Let me check.
It's okay if not. Yeah, and a reported tornado outside of Minneapolis as well.
I don't see much hail for Minneapolis.
Not much hail. The storms were just getting going and then immediately turned into a high wind risk. Yeah, I don't see any hail reports at all, actually.
No.
They just missed Minneapolis. What other questions do we have? So that was from, okay, Roberto had asked about anything from Minnesota. Oh, there's our future radar. We'll kind of do a little round the radar here and catch up on any storms that we haven't talked about over the last few minutes that we've been going live. We've been going live for, what is this, about 30 minutes now. So let's go around the radar and see anything that we have missed. We've talked about that strong wind up in the northern side of Wisconsin. We now have a tornado warning in this cluster of storms as well. So that tornado warning goes until 5:45. Again, what we're seeing from this area is very small hail, but high wind in this area and potential spin-up tornadoes as well. Just a reminder, whenever I say spin-up tornadoes, that does not mean weak tornadoes. That means fast tornadoes, so they can touch down very fast. Spin-up tornadoes can still be very dangerous. This tornado warning goes until 5:45, 1-inch size hail in the Greenwood area. And as we go down this line of storms, you can see just about every single part of this line of storms is warned. So we've got one severe thunderstorm warning here. We've got a tornado warning here. Another tornado warning moving into Wausau right now. So again, these are moving to the north-northeast. As we go down right to the east of 39, into Madison. We have had a lot of hail reports in Madison, so let's take a look at Madison. This tornado warning right here, not only do we have that hazardous potential tornado, but also golf ball size hail possible in this area. That's for Buffalo, Pacific, and Portage, and that goes until 5:30. So potential golf ball size hail. This storm is moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. Let's move into Madison now. Oh, they just cleared the severe thunderstorm warning from Madison, but let's take a look at those local storm reports. We have $half size hail coming in Sun Prairie. 1-inch size hail in Sun Prairie. Can we get anything larger than $half? Let's see. Here, I'll move out of the way. Ooh, we got ping pong ball size hail. All righty. Can anyone beat ping pong? Golf ball size hail in Maple Bluff. So that was at 4:51, just about 30 minutes ago. Can we get larger than golf ball size hail? So it looks like on the northeast side of Madison, we got some large hail. Let's actually zoom in here. There you go. Now you can see exactly where this hail fell. Another golf ball size hail report. Okay, I think this is going to be the biggest hail report that we have. 2-inch size hail in Cottage Grove. That was at 4:25, about an hour ago. And They're saying that the only viewable damage right now is to a tree canopy. So if you guys haven't seen, and I'm sure that you guys have seen the impacts of hail, oftentimes it'll look like these objects have gone through like a cheese grater, right? You'll see all these holes in these objects. It looks like you just took something and sanded over it with a grater. We've got another golf ball size hail report out in Cottage Grove as well, and that was about an hour ago. So some really decent sized hail in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, our biggest hit cities so far today was Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and then Madison, Wisconsin. Those have been the hardest hit so far, at least from what I've seen, and our Mets may be able to fill us in on a little bit more. We do have storms moving into Milwaukee right now, sitting just to the west of the city right now. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 5:45. That's for ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. About 250,000 people impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, that goes until 5:45, and it may just miss Milwaukee. Let's see, where is this moving? Due north. Yeah, it looks like it's going to miss the city then. Due north at 55 miles an hour. So the storm right now is sitting right along Highway 18, Highway 94 here, moving to the north, so it looks like it'll hit more places like, you guys are going to laugh at how I pronounce this, Menominee. Sounds pretty correct, Menominee Falls. Again, moving to the north, warned for ping pong ball size hail. How close has I been?
Perfect.
Perfect. I like it. We like to be perfect around here at Hail Trace. We like to be accurate. What other questions do we have? Northern Indiana. Let's get to Northern Indiana. That may require us to do some forecasting. Yeah, there's nothing going on in Indiana right now. However, we have seen this watch extended now, including Chicago. So a tornado watch now includes Chicago. This goes until 10 o'clock this evening. 13 million people included in this watch here. Obviously includes all of Chicago, central Illinois, down to Champaign. I think Highway 74 is where this watch stops. And Indiana is included in this on the very northwest side. Again, this only goes until 10 o'clock for you all out in Indiana. However, I do expect this watch to be extended at some point. We're just waiting for these storms to get a little bit closer to, for the National Weather Service to extend this watch. So you've got some time. Most likely storms that come into northern Indiana will be in the late night hours after the sun goes down. And something that we showed earlier, we can go back to the forecast, because something that we showed earlier from this forecast was the high wind risk that you all have in northern Indiana. So let's actually go up there. There we go. Alrighty, so what time is it now? It's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Storms are moving to the east. They have not hit Chicago yet. However, they are approaching Chicago right now. By about 8, 9 o'clock, these storms will be on the east side of Chicago, passing over the Great Lakes, passing over that state line from Illinois into Indiana. You can see that storms passing over that state line track into the South Bend area by about 10 o'clock tonight. Again, it's dark by this point. You're seeing these storms only by the flash of their lightning, right? Maybe you're hearing them as well. Rochester getting hit right around 10 o'clock. Kalamazoo around 10 o'clock. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Oh, I can move this. That's awesome. I can move the radar without actually going into it. Right around Highway 80, moving to the east into Angola by about 10 o'clock tonight. Alrighty, let's keep going here. One thing that we had mentioned earlier was the high wind. So you do see this line of storms from Fort Wayne that kind of curves up here in this backwards C-shaped. This often indicates to us that we are expecting high wind anywhere from Fort Wayne all the way to Toledo. So very, very strong wind. I mean, even all the way up into Michigan as well, but that's kind of cut off here. Very strong wind in this area. If we zoom out even farther, one thing that the models were trying to pull in today is in southern Indiana, we're expecting a cluster of storms to form right along the Indiana and Kentucky state line. So keep an eye on this area as well. So we're kind of bookended here, right? One on the north side of the state and then another cluster on the south side of the state. And it looks like this model wants to keep that trend where we're favoring the south side of the state into the overnight hours. And then southern Indiana is included, I think it's included in that moderate risk for tomorrow as well. So that's also something to watch out for.
Tornado watch is now out for the whole Chicago metro area.
Yes, yeah, tornado watch for all of Chicago. We can go back to Poplar Grove is the closest storm that we have to Chicago right now, or maybe even Concord. If you go west on I-80, you can hit Concord, and that's the closest storm that we have. But we have been seeing these storms just slowly expand farther to the south, right? We only had that one storm up in Rockford, and then we have slowly seen another one form in Sterling, another one in Concord, and then now we have another storm right around I-74. Just outside of Peoria that's going up as well. And that'll probably warrant a severe thunderstorm warning here pretty soon. And again, that tornado watch, I think it goes until 10. Yes, 10 o'clock. So we've got many more hours left on watching storms tonight. What other questions do we have? We see a lot of people jumping in on Twitter right now. Now, my understanding is on Twitter, I cannot see your comments on Twitter. You're going to have to hop over to our Facebook or our YouTube for me to see your comments on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you have to hop over to Facebook or YouTube for me to see your comments. One person asking about Toledo. Yeah, we could see storms in Toledo, but it's going to be late tonight. After dark, you'll probably be in bed by the time you get storms in Toledo, but I can show you the forecast. We've got lots of people hopping. That sounds like more fun than hopping. We've got lots of people hopping in from Michigan right now. Let's get the forecast pulled up. It'll take a minute. Move up to Michigan. What about Toledo? Let's see that timing here. Here we are, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Storms are in Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids. These are moving to the east and they're hitting Toledo. Yeah, you're probably in bed by this time unless you're just a night owl. 11 o'clock, 1 a.m., very late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. That's whenever storms are hitting Toledo. Detroit, right around the same time. And one of the biggest risks that you're going to see in Toledo is not necessarily that hail risk. It's possible, but I really think it's going to be more of a wind risk once it gets out here. Fort Wayne, very similar to that as well. Alrighty, what other questions do we have? I'm going to take a look at some of the photos that we see. Across social media. And that is a great reminder. If you guys see storms tonight in your area, if it's safe to take pictures and send those to us because we can share either your photo or we can share your post as well. Let us know where you've, I'm reading some of your comments. Let us know where you took those pictures at, and we will put those on our map, or we will document that. So we appreciate those pictures, of course. That is very helpful. Jesse asks, hail related. Hail related in Toledo, pretty low chance. I wouldn't expect any very large hail up there. While 2.5-inch hail has already been seen today, our forecast already verified for that. Toledo, I would not expect that to happen in your area. So we can go back to the radar, get off the forecast here and go back to the radar. Any other storms forming in Illinois? The southernmost storm that we have right now is Peoria. We still have storms ongoing across other portions of the U.S. We've got storms out in the far eastern side of North Carolina. We actually have a tornado warning out here. Now, the hail risk out here is pretty low. $0.5 size hail with this tornado warning that goes until 7 o'clock this evening. So we've got another 30 minutes on that Eastern time. About 1,000 people impacted by this tornado warning. This is out in Alligator, North Carolina. Greenville, North Carolina. Okay, so just to the north of Greenville here, Belvoir, Bethel, Pectolis, Williamston, all included in this severe thunderstorm warning for ping pong ball size hail. You know, Greenville's already gotten hit pretty hard this year. And it's interesting that they're getting hail. Once again, I feel like St. Louis, Greenville, North Carolina, I feel like are cities that have just come up over and over and over whenever we talk about cities that have been hit this year. What are some other ones that you guys can think of that seem to just be a hail magnet here lately? Those are ones that I feel like we have talked about over and over. And it is now tornado warned. We were just talking about severe thunderstorms in this area, and this storm was like, you know, let me do you one better. Let me get a tornado warning on this. Golf ball size hail on the northern side of Greenville. About 24,000 people impacted by this warning. And getting some information on this is moving to the southeast. So it's going to skim the eastern side of the city about 25 miles an hour. And the National Weather Service is confirming this tornado, confirmed tornado, moving on the east side of Greenville. Let me move our radar view down and zoom in here. So this is moving to the southeast at 25 miles an hour, moving into Pactolus right now. Grimesland is next. And again, this is confirmed tornado on the ground, moving to the southeast right now. And let's pull up velocity on this. Hang on one second. Storm relative velocity. Okay, so if we take off our storm tracks here, you can see the exact area where the National Weather Service has pinpointed. Here is most likely the tornado. Again, this is moving it's on the northeast side of Greenville right now, but it is moving to the southeast at about 25 miles an hour. The public has confirmed this tornado, so we know at one point it was on the ground, and they're also warning not only of a tornado, but also of some large hail up to the size of a golf ball. So we are now excluding Williamston from this warning and only focusing on the northeast side of Greenville at this moment. Okay, we've got more questions coming in here. Madison, Wisconsin area. So we will take a break from North Carolina. Again, this tornado warning, if you are in this area or if you have any friends in this area, make sure that they are going into the innermost room of their house. There is a confirmed tornado. We can see the location of that likely tornado right now, where those reds mix with the greens, that is the rotation right there. That is where we need to take the biggest precaution. That's where the tornado is. And then it's moving to the northeast at about 25 miles an hour, just going to skim the northeastern side of Greenville itself, and then it'll stay pretty parallel to the highway as you move to the east of Greenville. But yes, we will go back up into Madison, Wisconsin. Because we did have some storms go through there earlier. I don't know if the question was about the current weather conditions or if you wanted to know what we saw earlier. So, I mean, there's no storms in Madison right now. There's Madison. Storms are now to the east of you. You're probably severe clear. Beaver Dam is where we have that next tornado warning. You can see that highlighted there in red. And then we can zoom it down into Madison, Wisconsin. Oh, that was way too much of a zoom. All right, let's back up a little bit. And there we go. At least from the local storm reports, it looks like most of this hail hit on the northern side of the city or outside of the city to the north. Quarter-size hail reported out in Wanakee. That's in Dane County. I don't know if I said Wanakee correctly, but I can say Dane County. That's an easier one. Sun Prairie, we got $half size hail. Another one, $half size hail in Sun Prairie. Can we beat $half size? We can. Ping pong ball size hail relayed with a photo, so we know this is a real verified report. Ping pong ball size hail with a photo next to a ruler coming in out of Maple Bluff. That was at 4:51, so that was about an hour ago, a little less than an hour ago. An even larger hailstone report here, golf ball size hail, also in Maple Bluff. So long story short, from Madison, it looks like most of the hail hit to the north of you and the largest hailstones in Maple Bluff. And our meteorologists, we have 1, 2, 5, I think, that we're in today. They are mapping these storms in real time, so this map right now is already on hailtrace.com. You can already look it up. It's already out there. $half size hail in Maple Bluff. Some pretty impressive hailstones in that area. It's really not that far outside of the city. Yeah, 5 miles outside of the city. It's very close. And let's see, that question came in from Hunter Thomas on Facebook. Hunter said, did we get any hail there? Yeah. You don't have any hail going on right now, but you did get some hail just outside to the northeast of the city. All right, we have a lot of people watching on Twitter right now, a few people on Facebook and a few people on YouTube as well. We appreciate you guys watching. Now, we not only do live storm coverage, but we do a forecast every single day at noon. We also do a lot of storm chasing, so we have storm chasing videos all over our social media pages, and we'll be posting more pictures of hail as they come in today. So if you guys have any pictures of hail, send those to us. We would love to get those reports. We are also going to be posting more pictures that we find on social media later on today as well. Northern Illinois hail chances. Let's go up to Northern Illinois. Let this load real quick. There we go. Okay, we now have a significant severe thunderstorm warning in the northern portion of Illinois. Sterling, Illinois. Now this is a storm that we said earlier was not terribly impressive at the moment, however, had the potential to grow stronger and more organized given the time, and that's exactly what it did. So this storm right now that's in Sterling is warned for 2-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. 28,000 people, almost 29,000 people impacted by this warning. It goes until 6:30 this evening, and this storm is moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour. Again, this is just outside of Sterling, Illinois. It is this storm right here. Got a little bit of rotation in this storm, not anything terribly impressive. Someone asked earlier, can we see the correlation coefficient? Sure. Got a hail spike there. That means that we do have some large hail in here. You can see that hail spike right there. What we're looking for whenever we look for correlation coefficient in terms of large hail sizes, we want to see the greens specifically, but if we see some of those oranges and blues mixed in there, that's also not bad for large hail. So that's exactly what we're seeing right here. So where are we seeing that large hail at? Right in this area. And let me zoom down in and see if we can get some more streets in here. There we go, a few more streets. So where would the largest hail be falling right now? This is just to the north of, what is this highway? 92? Yeah. So just to the north of 92, right along 172 right now near Tampico, and then to the east in between I-40. So in this area right here is where we're most likely getting some of the largest hailstones at the moment. Great call on asking about northern Illinois. Who asked about that? Anthony asked about that. Yeah, great call, Anthony, because that's someplace, we'll kind of go back and forth. We'll jump all across the U.S. and we'll talk about the high wind and we'll talk about the large hail, but sometimes we are all the way on the east side of the country while there is a big, impressive storm happening in Illinois, so it's good to jump back and forth, right? So this area right here is where we're watching for the largest hail right now. This is moving to the east and the northeast, so we'll check the timing on that and how fast it's moving here in just a minute. But I did want you to know, whenever you look at these severe thunderstorm warnings, oftentimes they're highlighted in yellow. That's pretty normal, right? However, sometimes you'll see these black lines that go through the warnings. That's not our computer messing up. It's supposed to be there. And what that indicates is that this is a significant severe thunderstorm warning. What that means is that the National Weather Service has deemed this important enough that you need to know that this is a step above a normal severe thunderstorm warning. This is more intense. This is going to be more impactful. And what they did, why they did that, was because of the large hail that we are seeing in this area. And that's because of that 2-inch size hail, which we can see indicated right here, and those areas highlighted in green, yellow, maybe some blues mixing in. So that is why we have some of these dashed lines. That's what we look for whenever we look for significant storms, are these dashed lines within that severe thunderstorm warning. Now, oh yeah, you can see the core right here. I want to look at our hail trace maps now and see if I nailed exactly where the largest hailstones would be. We've got meteorologists back there that are way more experienced than I am at spotting that hail, and those are the ones that are making the maps. They are very, very experienced and pretty accurate where they put the hail at. Okay, let's see. 2-inch size hail is what this is warned for. It has now been upgraded to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So we're not only seeing the large hail in this area, we are also getting strong wind on top of that. This is moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour. So not impacting a ton of people right now. However, will it impact more people? Let's see. Put a storm track on this. I said 45 miles an hour. We'll give people a little extra time, making it 48 miles an hour in case this thing speeds up. So that makes it into Grand Detour, I hope I'm saying that correctly, by 5:53, Amboy by 5:58, Ashton at 6:09, and into Flag by 6:15. So right along Highway 39 in the next half hour here. And then we get into some more populated areas after that. And I have not seen a storm report come in. However, this is warned for 2-inch size hail, so I wonder if we'll see a storm report come in here pretty soon. I know it's not a terribly populated area. There may not be a ton of people that this is impacting right now. Anthony asking, Chicago suburbs. So Chicago has not gotten hit yet. However, we do have a tornado watch in place for Chicago right now. This goes until 10 o'clock tonight, so we still have several more hours left on this storm, on these storms. Chicago, my timeline for Chicago earlier was between about 4 and 8 o'clock. And I still think that I know that we're about 2 hours into that, but I still think that that's possible. It's just going to be on the later side of that timeline, right? So again, if these storms are moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour, then we'll be on the north. This storm right here will be on the north side of Chicago in 2 hours. So we're just at 8 o'clock, right at the end of my timeline. But hey, we could still see that verify today. We'll have to see.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
Siri is making herself present in our forecast now. About 2 hours until you see this storm hit the Chicago suburbs. So if this moves 45 miles an hour and we're 90 miles away, 2 hours is whenever it will arrive just on the north side of Chicago. But don't think that Chicago is going to get missed here, because we have another storm down here in Chillicothe. Is that how you say it? Sitting right along I-74. If this storm moves to the northeast, it's about 120 miles away from Chicago right now. And sometimes these smaller storms can move faster, so let's see how fast it's moving. Moving at 55 miles an hour, so a little bit faster here, also getting into Chicago in about 2 hours. So we've got about a 2-hour timeline here. That's why you have the watch right now, but no warnings in effect yet, because these storms are so far out. But within the next 2 hours, you're going to see storms get a lot closer. And by that point, I'm very curious to see how much of this will fill in. Because right now, these storms are quite isolated, especially this one on the far south side of this line. But I do expect these storms to start to fill in. As they split off from one another, you'll fill in this space. So by the time they track all the way out to the east, we could have this entire area filled in with storms. Now the key to get large hail here is to still have these storms isolated enough to be able to organize themselves to get that large hail. You want a strong updraft. You want a very organized storm for large hail. If these storms are not organized, it's going to become very, very messy. Your hail sizes will get smaller, and then we'll switch to a tornado and a wind threat. So if they can stay pretty isolated, kind of what you see right now, you're going to continue to see that large hail over the next few hours. We're still alive. We've got our Mets are back here working. They're working very hard. And they are walking in and out of their room right here, which is awesome, because sometimes they walk in and out of the room and I get to ask them questions, and I'll ask them what they rated a storm or what the largest hail size is in here. So it's always a gamble if they walk out here if I'm going to put them on the spot or not. But yeah, they're working very hard in the room right next to us. So sometimes we kind of talk back and forth. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to hop off of here and let you guys enjoy your dinner time. And then we'll hop back on whenever these storms get closer to Chicago. Bye, Ben. Let's see what's happening up in Wisconsin right now. Storms look like they just missed Milwaukee. You guys may still get some rain, but it looks like the strongest storms are going to miss Milwaukee. Alrighty. Zoom down until Milwaukee here. Now, just to the west of Milwaukee, we did have a storm come through earlier that was producing some moderate hail. You know, we've got your $50 mixing in here right along I-94. I say that, and then we're only going to get quarters. Ah, there you go. There's your ping pong ball size hail. That was in Dousman in Waukesha County, Waukesha. Richfield also got a quarter-size hail report, but it does look like that strongest storm I told you would go just to the north of the city, and that's exactly what happened here. However, you could get some rain just outside of the city. We still have several tornado warnings going on with, it looks like, some pretty decent sized hail up near Beaver Dam. Quarter sized hail here. What about these hail reports closer to Columbus? All of these quarter size hail as well. We've got a new one coming in. So the storm is still producing large hail, $half size hail just to the north of Beaver Dam. From this tornado warning, what else do we have out there? What other cities? Last call for cities to check before I jump off of here, and I'll jump back on whenever Chicago is about to get hit. We talked about this earlier, but some strong wind up near Hayward in the far northern side of Wisconsin. And this is a great example of how storms got too clustered, too close together, and it got so messy that these storms couldn't produce large hail, but the wind threat picked up. So you kind of balance that out. Do you have a hail threat or a wind threat sometimes with these storms? And that's exactly what happened here, is we saw that large hail threat turn to a high wind threat in this area. One thing that we noted earlier was that Eau Claire, Wisconsin got hit really, really hard with some very large hailstones. We're talking tennis ball, maybe even larger than that. And Eau Claire, Wisconsin, we are saying was at least a 3-star storm event, but could be even higher than that. We were waiting to see what happened right outside of the city. So at least a 3-star storm event. That's just one of the night, which I do think that we're going to add to that. I do not think that we're going to stop there. I do expect to see that number go up. Another 3-star event, another maybe 4-star event. We'll have to see what happens, but I do expect that we are going to see that number go up. Because we are only at the very beginning of the night. What does our tornado watch go until, like 10, 11 o'clock? I think that this severe thunderstorm watch out on the East Coast goes until midnight tonight. And there's that tornado warning. Ooh, very nice radar signature there. Tornado signature. Great view. Again, confirmed tornado warning. And ping pong ball sized hail just on the east side of Greenville, impacting about 6,000 people here. And you can see the inflow there. You can see the exact area that we are watching for. This thing is diving, or was at least diving, to the southeast earlier. And there you go. That is your storm update. Storms up in Arkansas look like they have dissipated as they moved into Memphis. That has also been a very common theme that we have seen this year, where some cities are storm magnets, some are storm deflators. And I feel like Memphis has been one of those cities this year that has just, any storm that comes through, you may have some wind with it, maybe a spin-up tornado, maybe, but really that hail threat in Memphis has been very, very low this year. Anything else? Okay, I don't see any other questions, so just a little recap on Chicago here. Storms should be in Chicago in about 2 hours. So we're gonna jump on before then, before that time, and we'll track these storms into Chicago. So hit that follow button and we'll be back here before storms get to you guys, or if storms start to look really impressive and we start to get some massive hail. In between now and then, we'll jump back onto our lives. We, of course, will be working all night long. The meteorologists here at Hail Trace are staffed 24/7, so there is not a time that a Met is not watching storms. We have eyes on the storms 24/7. So, of course, we will have not only one Met, but multiple meteorologists watching these storms tonight. So keep it with Hail Trace. We will see you guys here in a few hours whenever we jump back on and cover Chicago. Alrighty, until then, enjoy your dinner. We'll see you here pretty soon.